Good evening. This side Rahul Magan here as a Group Chief Executive Officer, Treasury Consultant, and also a second year law student. Today, my deliberations would be on a very technical topic, which is very much prevalent in the global financial structure. And this topic is technically known as alternate investment funds. Yes, alternate investment funds. Ladies and gentlemen, alternate investment funds are prevalent across the globe. If you go to the global financial centers like Singapore, Dubai, Hong Kong, United States, Europe, you will feel that alternate investment funds are very much prevalent across the globe. But that's a separate thing that different countries of the globe are having their different citations as far as the AIF is concerned. India too having a very big structure of alternate investment fund. If I go to the public records, then there are around 1200 alternate investment funds which are registered in India. 1200. And the quantum of the investments is approximately 6.5 trillion INR. 6.5 trillion INR, which, by the way, is not a small amount. Why I am raising this topic? Because in the last 3 to 4 years, there is a concept which is heavily prevailing in the world of financial market. And that concept is nothing but the alternatives. That's a highly unfortunate fact that if you look at Google, there is bare minimum data about the alternatives we have in the world. But having said that, slowly and steadily, thanks to the global warming, thanks to the various other factors, the world is slowly moving to the alternatives. Ladies and gentlemen, alternate investment fund, people feel that alternate investment fund are open-ended fund. No, they are open as well as closed-ended funds both. It is up to the regulator of that country who determine whether they want alternate investment fund to be a closed-end structure or an open-end structure. Like in the case of India, there are 3 categories of alternate investment fund, which is category 1, category 2, and category 3. Category 2 is technically known as residual category. Now, by residual category, I mean whatever is not falling in the jurisdiction of category 1 and 2 and 3 falling in the category 2. That is why category 2 is known as the residual category. Similarly, Irish, which means the Ireland. Technically speaking, Ireland is considered as one of the most powerful financial centers in Europe to me. If you go with the guidelines of Irish central banks, you will definitely feel the level of intelligence they have put in these guidelines. Similarly, Ireland also holding their own alternate investment fund guidelines, which is shortly known as AIF guidelines. Eventually, as the time would progress, I would have a detailed videos about these guidelines, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you to the Irish authorities for making such wonderful guidelines. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a very good thing about AIF, and that is it is not for retail investors. And I completely agree with that. Because alternate investment fund generally is a closed structure. Please note that I'm using a word generally, so emphasis supplied. And because it's a closed structure, it means that the investment pattern of alternate investment fund is known only to the limited people. If you are thinking that the alternate investment fund would reveal their investment patterns worldwide, it would never happen. But having said that, like I said, different countries of the globe have their different jurisdictions. Slowly and eventually, we would be covering these jurisdictions also, but this is a primer. Primer means the overall view of what alternate investment fund is. Sometimes alternate investment funds invest in equity as an asset class. Sometimes they invest commodities as an asset class. Sometimes they invest in any other product as an asset class. Although I do not have any information, and in the absence of any information, I cannot comment that in which all asset classes AIFs actually invest. Because unfortunately, if I look at Google, and once I try to find out the detailed information that in which all asset classes alternate investment funds invest, I outrightly failed because they are more or less closed and structured. In some jurisdictions, even alternate investment funds are allowed to operate from foreign host jurisdictions. Now, foreign host jurisdiction means that suppose there is an alternate investment fund titled XYZ, and that XYZ fund operate in a relevant country, say PQR. The name of the country is PQR and the fund is XYZ. Now, that XYZ fund is actually registered in some foreign host location which may or might not be in the gray list of FATF. By FATF, I means Financial Action Task Force. If you visit the website of FATF, you can easily see that they are having a concept called gray list. So you can easily vouch that concept. And there are tick, 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 name of the countries which they mention in the gray list. And based upon their research, they keep amending that. Now, as an investor of alternate investment funds, one thing which we really need to understand that in which jurisdiction that fund is actually incorporated. Because if the local laws are allowing a fund to operate in that local country, knowing that the original fund is incorporated at the host location, it means the investor should be clear on the fact that he is not dealing with the local laws, rather he is dealing with the host location. Many a times, alternate investment funds operate via a trust. And many a times, they do not operate via a trust. So it's a very complicated world. Like I said, alternate investment fund is a closed end structure. That is the reason I completely agree that if you wish to invest your funds or your money in alternate investment fund, then you need to understand how exactly it works, in which all asset classes they invest, whether it is pure equity, pure commodity, pure hybrid, and so on and so forth. Ladies and gentlemen, we also need to understand one thing very clearly and apparently, that when it comes to alternate investment funds, then alternate investment fund is having a designated operator called portfolio manager. But in many jurisdictions, the selection criteria of portfolio manager is little dicey. And it is difficult to understand who determines this portfolio manager. Whether this portfolio manager is determined by the host location, the foreign host location, or the portfolio manager is determined by the local authorities. Because technically speaking, there is a concept called investment committee. An investment committee means it is like, if you speak about bank, any top bank, they are having one powerful committee which is technically known as ALCO. ALCO means Asset Liability Committee. Now, that committee is one of the most powerful committee because this committee approves all the credit and risk making decisions. So if that decision backfire, then the responsibility of that backfiring is vested with that committee. Similarly, when it comes to alternate investment fund, because that fund is not a bank, that fund is a closed-end fund. In this regard, they do not have ALCO, which is Asset Liability Committee. Rather, they hold something which is called Investment Committee. Different jurisdictions of the globe have different guidelines as far as the Investment Committee is concerned, that we would be sharing as the time would progress. But having said that, ladies and gentlemen, one thing which we need to appreciate is that alternate investment fund is one of the finest creations as far as the financial management is concerned. But in this finest creation, one thing which investors clearly need to understand is that how in that local jurisdiction alternate investment fund operate. That's more important, which I wish to highlight here. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. You have my number 9899242978. Let me repeat, 9899242978. We are holding a WhatsApp group, and in this WhatsApp group, we share the information about the markets, the screenshots, and if we finding time, then trainings also. Ladies and gentlemen, you're most welcome to join this WhatsApp group, but please take a note that this is a learning platform. So if you are coming in this WhatsApp group with a malified intention, then please do not join that. This is a learning platform. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group. God willing, more videos on alternate investment fund on the cards, which would reveal information memorandum, private placement memorandum, how to do private placement in alternate investment fund, what all precautions we need to handle, we need to take care when we invest in alternate investment fund, what should be the role of investment bankers as far as the alternate investment fund is concerned, how to scrutinize alternate investment fund, and various other things. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Rahul Magan from Treasury Consulting Group.